with that question, that one question. What is it you discover about men you did not know that about men until you get married? Oh, Pastor Jimmy said men are more straightforward. That is correct. So let us go now. I don't know if Sister Alexander Bastien Lydie would start for us with that first question.
Oh my goodness, I was going to let.
The garçon que o pas connaît.
Oh well. Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to share. I had brothers and I had my father, but not until you become an adult and you're married into a home with a man. There's quite a few things I did not realize, or maybe I did not make a list at the time, or they did not affect me as much. So, first thing is that I found that men are more direct, and I guess they don't use a lot of words. They don't sugarcoat it. They may sweeten it up with a sweet name, with a honey or sweetie, but they go straight to the point. And sometimes at the risk of hurting your feelings, but they don't, even when they don't mean to, they pretty much more direct. Also, they miss details. I find that my husband would not remember where he put things, or whatever he's looking for would be right in front of his eye, and he'll miss it. And I'll walk in and I'll see it straight on. So I'll zoom on every little details in the room, and I'll see small things, and he will miss all of that. But they see big pictures, especially. I think that's good because they very good at ignoring distractions because of that, because they miss the noises. So it's good in that sense, but then it's not good because I have to look for his socks and look for his keys and look for his phone all the time. And I charge for that now. So I've been making some money. And then the next thing is that I found that men are emotional. I did not realize that men can be emotional. And they are especially emotional and sensitive about things that are important to their wife and children, especially. Not so much about themselves, but they are emotional about their family, their immediate family. So, and that leads me to the next one. They like to be a provider, and then they don't like it when we don't allow them. And then so they find value in providing to their family, as being the center of attention from their family. By family, I mean the daughter, the son, and the wife. So these people, they want to be the center of attention of these people, and they find value in that. And when they don't get as much attention from these people, they kind of feel a little bit lost. So I find that. And also, they can be good listeners, except for they don't give as much feedback as we would like to know that they are listening and paying attention. So because they don't say much, so we think they miss the entire picture. And then if we go into a lot of details, and then they will miss it. So that's one more thing. Mm-hmm. And then what else? They don't do well with stress.
You can reflect on what else. I'm going to come back to you, Sister Bastien, because I feel that you can write a book, as you said.
That's my last one. I'm not writing the book. I'm done. Yes. They don't do well with stress. And I think we all, I mean, if you've been married now, you realize that your husband don't do well with stress. That's it.
Yes. Now, while we will come back to you, I want to ask Nika and Kiki if they relate, Nika and Val, do you relate to two things that is mentioned? Your husbands, do they pay attention to details, like they may be looking for their keys and they call you while they are miles away? I've found myself calling my wife at work to locate my glasses or my keys, and she will be, or look such and such place, and I will find it. She's not in the house. Do you relate to those things? What was it a surprise to you? And add to that for me. There's something Sister Bastian said here. What are the things she said you relate to? And if there's more that you have discovered since you get married, you can tell us. And I have a list of more. Welcome with me. Welcome with
Get
me.
to
Right
listen.
on time.
Yes, yes. We're happy to see Rivni Saint Luc. We are glad to have you. Welcome to the show. And there's someone here, Pastor Jimmy Florine. Say hi to your wife as well. I know she's watching and she said hello. May God bless you, Pastor, and your wife as well. So we are glad so many have joined us also online over the phone. And we will give you an occasion to talk, to say few things as well. But for now, as we are together live on all these networks, we are on Facebook, YouTube, and also the phone lines. Now, let us get from Val. Did you relate to that? And I could ask Kiki as well. Have you started missing some places in the house? Have those things started happening to you? Because it's not a year yet, but is it something for old men like us, and or for you too? Let's hear from both of you, and then we'll go to Whitney. We are longing to hear from you guys. Things we need to know about men. What it does, I can see that a wife will feel that, okay, if Mrs. Bastian is going through it, so I will not take things personally. And that is very crucial. That thing saved my marriage. When my wife discovered that I was not the only one doing certain things. And that's the purpose tonight, to know things about men, and they are common. And there's a biblical connection with that. The biblical connection is that no temptation that comes to you is uncommon to others, but it is common. So with the temptation, there's a way of escape. But if you think that I'm the only one dealing with Rivni, going to those things with him, but Mrs. Bastian just gave us a list that could say, oh, why did I get married? So Val, tell us, are you relating? Do you connect with any of those things that Lady said earlier?
Yes, there's a couple of things. He, ever since we got married, he's been even more of a straightforward type of person. He's extremely mean. Like, there's times I feel like my feelings are hurt, but then when you sit back and think about what he says, you're like, okay, that makes sense. But you could have like put a little bit more roses, a little bit more flowers to make me feel a little better about myself. He became very more needy. Like, he wants to cuddle, he always wants to hug. I don't know, dating, I never saw that side of him. So I didn't expect it to come out.
But in the first thing you said, I want to elaborate a little bit. You mentioned straightforward. The choleric man, because we have men in various phases. Like, you have a sanguine man, you have a phlegmatic man. We do have also a melancholic man who does not talk much. But if your husband, and I'm talking to all those watching through all those various networks, your man will come, whether a sanguine man. A sanguine man is a man who is cheerful, who avoids conflict, almost like a phlegmatic. But you have a choleric man, and if you're describing that, the choleric will be straightforward, and the choleric man is most about the task ahead. Your feeling comes second. Let's do this. I don't know why you get emotional about that. We agreed to do this. That's the choleric. The choleric see the task, and your feeling is after. So can somebody react to that? Nika, Angie, can you say something about that? I'm going to allow
I've
the
been waiting
to
for my
it.
turn patiently. I've been patiently waiting for my turn. Very patiently.
yes, because what Lady started, and I saw that opening that Val did, and I know you may have something to say, and the patience is over now. Tell us.
I mean, honestly, quand je haïtien dit tout monde c'est moun, tout monde pas même, that's my husband. Some of the things that Sebastian was describing, you pas pour moi. Mali Pam, he pays attention to detail. He's very, very communicative. If anything, I'm the one that misses the details. And so it's an interesting dynamic between the both of us. I'm glad that I can speak to the for the men who are, I guess, different. I don't know, but Malipam, like, si gon problème, c'est lui même qui toujours like, come on, chérie, fun parler. We can't go to sleep angry. We can't like. He's the one that's always initiating the communication. He's the one always. I ask him where are things, to be quite frank. I think that I don't know. It definitely works for us because my personality is such that I guess I would be more of the choleric in our relationship, and he's more phlegmatic. So I just, I just kind of feel as though, um, being with my husband, I've learned that, don't just think that all men are the same because they're not. Pi gwo leson m apren la ka rive ni, se tout sa mte pense, tout sa mte prevoa, like throw all that out the window because he's very different. Um, he is not at all like your typical average man, the one that everyone describes. The one thing that I can say that I do relate with is the fact that he does not do stress well. Li pa reme, like, pa stresse, li pa reme le travay stresse, on ba stressant pour revenir la quitte le vite. And that's something that I'm working with him on because I'm like, babe, you can't quit everything. But bagay stressé la quitte, la pou quitte. So that's the only thing that I know for sure about him. But quand il s'agit de communication, parler, um, détail, bagay pou ti moun, bagay pou moi-même, like he's very attentive, like very attentive. So I thank God for it, but it's also been difficult because it's not what I was expecting. And being as though my personality is so different, um, we've been like, it took us a while to gel. And I guess we're still kind of working on that cohesion even now. But that's what I've learned is that not all men are the same. And what I thought I knew
Very
about
good.
them,
Mhm.
don't
Very
use
good.
that as a baseline.
And I will interject right now to say it's all about the personality types. Um, if your husband is melancholic, he will pay attention to details. If he was sanguine, or a mixture of more sanguine, like probably the description of Sister Bastien, we will that person, let me put it that way, that husband will be different, while personalities plays a key role on how we react and how men act in a relationship. So we have to understand that. So there are 4 personality types: the choleric, who is the leader, who is not really mushy about things, who does not really care about how you feel. And we get that word straightforward. And I want to implore you, pinga nou pense que garçon ça c'est quel pas care pour moi. No, now you're seeing what his personality type is about. Moun ki kolerik, li we mwen gon bagay pou m'fè, gon business pou mwen regle, an nou fin fel. Après, wap pron mouchoir, et pas mwen ka plonge mouchoir ba ou. D'ailleurs, m'pa même kon pou so gen lo ap kriye. Pas kon pou ki so ap kriye là. So ça c'est colérique là. Et par contre phlegmatique là, ou gon garçon phlegmatique nan men ou, li éviter problème. Oh chérie, ça pas problème, ça va. Maybe I don't have any phlegmatic husband on the line, but the phlegmatic avoid avoid conflict to the best of its ability. Ok, chérie, on quitte ça, on quitte ça. C'est toujours madame nan vle al régler amoun yo l'église. I have to tell them. I have to be the one to tell them. To tell them. So avoid that, avoid that. But if you have a melancholy, he will be silent on you. When you do something bad, he's silent because that's the language of a melancholy. The melancholy, if you do something to that person, this is why he stays. That's the answer. The answer is no talk. So based on the personality types, we can see certain things. So we are paying attention also to what Pastor Jimmy Florine is saying here. A man won't be and cannot be complete without a woman. Men are like babies. Wow. You said amen to that? Now I'm going to allow the men to talk. Why the women we have here are seeing a difference in you after marriage? What happened? Did you get comfortable? What happened? I'll start with Kiki and turn over to Whitney. Talk to me. Why most of them here are seeing a different man after marriage? What happened?
To be fair, being raised in a Haitian household, I wasn't around or exposed to that much lovey-dovey type of atmosphere, if that makes sense. In a Haitian household, by what they do for you financially shows that they love you. So, I mean, obviously growing up, I kind of took that and ran with it, but inside, you still have that love you want to give, I guess, a hole in your heart that you're trying to fill, I guess. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So the closer we got, the more emotional I got towards her or with her, the more emotions I showed, I should say. It's not that I was emotionless with her, like our dating phase, and our not honeymoon phase, our engagement phase. It just, the progression was there. So once we got married, I mean, I'm hers, she's mine. Why not just give her all the emotion I can? If
it's like a rebirth.
Yeah. So you just and then just being together, you constantly know what she wants, or you learn what she wants, and she learns what I want, and she loves that stuff. So I try to give it as much as feasibly possible. But sometimes it's a little bit overboard, so I kind of back off. But I try my best, I think.
Very good, very good. And I'm gonna have Rivni react also to the same question. Thank you, Kiki. And after that question, I'm gonna speak to the needs of a man. Needs of a man. What men need in a marriage. This is key. And Sister Bastien, you have experienced the needs of a man for 17 years. You will contribute to that one. Okay, let's start with Rivni. Rivni, tell us.
So for me, honestly, why are things different after marriage than they are before? She said earlier, depuis on va venir stressant, I try, that's where I become the whole I avoid type thing. So it's not so much it's, conflict I avoid stress. And so when you spend 30, what age was I when I got married to you? When you spend a good amount of years by yourself avoiding stress, and then you go and get married, and then stress is everywhere, then it's kind of difficult to actually be it's kind of difficult to maintain the practices that you were having during dating leading up until I do. So now there's the whole balancing act of how do you get a little bit of what you had before marriage to come and be a part of the happiness, and still make this person that stresses you out happy as well at the same time, and try to see things in their eyes, and also help them see things in your eyes as well. And so there's a whole difference. That's why it's a little different after marriage, and when I was sweet, acheter fleur. I mean, I'm still acheter fleur, mostly to say I'm sorry now, but after the marriage portion, and stuff like that, things get a little bit more different. And so trying to find that happy medium you know, is where it's what's causing things to change. Because I think the honeymoon years, the dating phases, and trying to convince the girl that you're the only man for them, and vice versa, you know, that's over. You know, that's over once you say I do, because you've made that choice. You're mine, I'm yours, nobody else. Now,
Wow.
now, Kunya, you just gotta find a way to, okay, ou commencer à découvrir défauts, même, et puis moi commence à découvrir défauts, et Kunya va faire new discoveries, and you gotta kind of, you can't be nice the way you were before I do with some of the stuff that you're discovering. You know, you gotta be clear and communicative. Whoa, baby, but comme ça, process, let me process, and let me come back to the table and see how we can work with this together. So
Yeah.
honestly, it's kind of just because the status changed. I feel like that's the reason you got to change new things too.
Thank you. Very good point. Both Kiki and Rivney, very good contribution. I'm bringing to the table the contribution of Dr. James Dobson, that you know as a psychologist and family therapist. He has discovered through his research that before marriage, men have that eager to conquer, and there's a release of, just like dopamine, another hormone is released in their brain for that conquering mood. It is called the pleasing hormone, as you mentioned, flowers and stuff like that. And I want the women to know that it's not that he's taking you for granted. 2 years within the marriage, that pleasing hormone decreases in the brain of the man, because we are more conquerors. And it happens, and you can understand what I'm going to say. Sou te gon machine ou te envie acheter, ou te besoin BMW, gon moun ki sou ligne la comprendre ça m'a dit même. Li te vle acheter un Mercedes à tout prix. L'el fin gen Mercedes là, après 9 mois, me relèl, me dit comment Benz là, m'a dit, "Ay, kounya c'est gaz li boule." Alors que moun ça, l'el te fait acheter Mercedes là, pour tout bagay Mercedes là te gagné, c'était that was it. C'est ton Mercedes de l'année, li chic, li choc, il te semblait moun, toujours semblait moun. Mais quelques mois après, 9 mois après, me relèl moun, me dit moun pa comment Mercedes là, il dit li boule gaz ku so pa konnen. Because we have that tendency naturally as human to get comfortable and to take things for granted after a time. So pa genyen, c'est le plus désiré. Maintenant, that's one. But with that discovery, with the pleasing hormone, it's very, very difficult. 2 years within the marriage, there's a decrease. And after 2 years, we got to take it by principle. Et c'est ça que fait, si pas un principe. I get up in the morning, I said, I choose to love Vanessa. I cannot count on my natural emotion. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. It won't happen naturally anymore. It will not happen. Ça va priver. Mais c'est pour me prendre tant qu'on principe. C'est pour qui prend tant qu'on principe pour dire, OK, vous connaissez? I'm gonna talk to Val the way I used to before, and I can do it. Et bien de le bagage ça changer, c'est si nous avons une menace de divorce, une menace de un bagage qui capable faire. And that's why also I'm gonna tell you that you got to be open and vulnerable with each other. Et ça fait ça n'a fait à swear. It's very important. M'ka ouais comment que le Val commence à parler, qui met men en tête, il dit oui. Because if we are not vulnerable with each other, there's no way we can grow. And one thing we need to understand, your wife, guys, I'm saying this to the men, guys, your spouse, your wife does not hate you when she tries to implement things. They just see another way you can be better. It's not that they are not satisfied. I'm repeating myself because last week, that was the topic. We were studying women. One of the things they said about women, they are never satisfied. But garçon, do we comprendre? Now we are helping the men. Garçon, the man must understand Your wife is satisfied. If she was not, she would not be with you. Although she may have issues, she has issues. But when you see she keeps on talking, and we said that last week, when a woman stops talking, she's done. If she still brings some concerns, it's because there's hope in the relationship. And I'm going to tell you some things about the needs of a man. And I'm going to turn to Lydie. Lydie will tell us. But now, we do have a research that was done over 100,000 men around 5 continents. They found out what are the 5 major needs of a man. The first need of a man, ladies, it took mon captain them souligna. Everybody listening around the world, listen to the 5 needs of a man. We want to know 10 things about men. These are 5 major things. The need of a man is for respect and honor. Monsieur, ça nous dit pour ça. Si nous d'accord, just dis bon mouti amen. Et Kiki, ou pas d'accord avec ça? First thing of a man is respect and honor. Ou d'accord, amen, amen. Moi, je nous amen non mais reveni là. Micro nous tout ouvre, pas un problème. And I'm going to turn to Lydie to see if she has seen those within those 17 years of marriage. Deuxième need of a man. And sometimes the second need pass to be the first one. It's a need for physical intimacy. Physical intimacy, I'm telling you, they're married for that. That's one of the reasons. And biblically, that's the meaning of marriage. And that's why the Bible said, if you go to a prostitute, you marry that person. That's the same concept. That's the meaning of marriage. Et l'on repousse un garçon physiquement, ou li pense qu'on refuse complètement. I'm going to say that again. And this is tweetable, Pastor Jimmy. If you push a man, you don't give him your body, he will think that you are not accepting him. So Pastor Jimmy put something here. Frankly, men need 3 things in a relationship. Men love to be acknowledged that he's the man, your sherry, sex, and his food. Okay. Pastor Florine is giving it as it is. Now, let me finish with those 5 things, and they are meeting some of what Pastor is saying here. I mentioned sex. It's one of the major needs of a man. Li pa capable joindre ni nan men n'importe l'autre moun ta joindre la illégal. Alors que tout l'autre bagay ki nan ka la ou ka paye un moun vin faire manger, ou ka paye un moun vin nettoyer, gen cleaning services, mais s'il t'a payé un moun pour faire ça que ou même c'est du tout la police la police a met pied. Madame Bastien saisi avec ça nous dit. Yes. That is so true. Maintenant, troisième besoin un garçon. Take notes, ladies. Moun captain them tout partout à travers le monde. A man wants an attractive wife. Monsieur, est-ce que d'accord ça m'a dit au sofa? Pour toujours attirante. Il était marié avec Val, vente plate. Si il pas il met ton bail là-dedans, il va t'espérer pour un bagage mettre là-dedans. Il était marié avec belle petite figure, toujours rangé petite figure même genre avec Nika, qu'on n'a pas parlé, vin qui ton figure blasé. Ou t'es marié avec une petite jeune fille avancée, tu le tutu, même genre avec Madame Bastien, maintenant attendre que toujours tu le tutu. Regardez Jean frère là. So this is what the men want. They want you to be attractive because it's biblical. The woman is the glory of the man.
That's right.
It's the glory of the man. A man would be very proud to say, that's my wife. If I did not accomplish anything for my life, but look at who I chose. That means I am valuable. I chose this woman. And that's why sometimes men go for difficult women because they could say, aha, I made it to that challenge. They may perceive someone to be difficult. They may perceive someone to be all the way up here on their high heels. That's who I want to conquer. And I can tell the guys, I made it. I conquered that one. welcome, Emmanuel Jean Leon. We are happy to see you, Elder Jean Leon. Welcome, welcome. We have here the fourth need of a man. The need of a man for domestic service. It's 100,000 men around the world that said it. So it's not a Haitian thing. I think that Kiki could quickly say, oh, because I'm from a Haitian background, I want my food on the table. No, a man needs some domestic service. Whatever it could be, they need that. They need that. It's not a want. They need it. They need it. And that I'm gonna add one more thing that a man has a need of. They need time alone. They need you to be, and that's the contrast now. Why they need to refuel, to have some silent moment. So when they are coming home, don't start at the door to say all what happened. Oh, honey, today they almost cut the electricity, and because you did not pay the bill, and then not only you did not pay the bill, you I don't know, the water had a problem, and then we had a problem with this, and then the cat had some issue because the cat had some gas. I had to burp the cat, and then and so many things to say, and then he will say, why did I come home so early?
Don't do that.
I wish I had something else to do, another excuse to be on the road, because he's been through so much on the road. Don't bring another problem. He's coming home. He needs to be comforted. He needs a resting place, because there was a co-worker that he could not stand at work. There was a driver on the road he could not stand. Now, when he comes home, don't make him not wanting to stand you. Make him want to sleep with you. Charm him. So this is very critical. And there's a contrast, and there's so many things that we discover in contrast. However, when he's having fun, a man needs companionship in his hobbies. If he's watching the basketball game, don't just say, that little hole they are trying to do, what sense it makes. If they're watching the football, you cannot come with your righteous self to say, all those grown men running after a little ball, it must be Satan. No, don't do that. Pick a team, be with him, so he doesn't have to have a boys' night, so he can be with you. So do that. Be with him. So now I'm gonna rest it here. Sister Madame Bastien, what are the things in your 17 years you have observed that those 100,000 men around actually 6 continents discovered these were their needs? Let's talk.
All of them in that order. I have to tell you, respect is a big thing in my home, but it's not only because I want it and he wants it. It's because it's the only way to keep that mutual relationship without derailing, right? And is that we set limits. It is true that while we are married, my husband and I, we are supposed to be open and honest and being able to have a place, home, to let it out. But at the same time, though, always do that respectfully. So it's not that. So we agreed on that. The physical contact being exactly where it's at on that list. I think it's probably, and like you said, it's fighting with the respect. I'll tell you why it's fighting with the respect, because no matter how upset they may be and disrespected they may feel for a moment, but if they are offered a moment of intimacy right after, they'll take it. So the man appetite for intimacy, in that physical intimacy, I would say, not so much the emotional one. Women are more into the emotional intimacy. We want the sweet talk, we want the pillow talk, we want the hug, long hug, and we want to just stay there and feel comfortable in the holding hands and hold it there. But for men, though, especially, it's the action, it's the making love. That's what they want. They want the making love. So for them, I don't know how God created them to be so hot and so interested in getting it. And then he made us so much less, right? Inclined. And it's the details, right? They are not distracted, right? They're not
With me as
distracted.
emotion.
Yeah, they're not distracted. They know what they want. They never get distracted. The small things of the day are not going to keep them from
We're still
happening.
with you, but with me as emotion. I think
Yes,
I have an
motion
idea.
go.
Go ahead,
Go.
Lively.
So, j'ai une question.
Yes.
What about the anomalies? You know,
What she just wrote, this person just wrote right there.
Yeah, health me for life. All men don't long for intimacy. Please address this. I think we're both kind of on the same wavelength. You know,
What is it?
That all men don't necessarily long for that intimacy. What if you don't fall completely? Exactly on this list. But that's a question you can
Then
definitely.
it's a blessing. Then it's a blessing.
Oh, it's a blessing.
Because
it's a blessing.
When I say it's a blessing,
marriage, for her and her husband.
If the man and the women sex appetite can match, it's perfect. If you have somebody who can slow down and being in that moment, and match what the woman is feeling mostly, and not really just just think about their satisfaction. And actually they are willing to provide satisfaction as well, but what I'm saying is they're very, very sexual, right?
Okay.
And it's normal. God created you to be a sexual being. He did. And that's one of the things he added to man, especially much more than he added to us. And then really, as I said, it came with the destruction. So yes, there's going to be a man who is not as focused on it. And that may be married to a woman who is more extremely hot and interested in having sex. So they need to meet up.
Is there anybody like that Can you elaborate for us to see if what Lydie is saying? Can we find an example right here? We it's heart to heart. Let's talk. Can we have an example like that?
I mean, I'm gonna tell you this right now. When I talked to my wife, she said, "Hey, Pasteur, invite us to come on this thing." I said, there was no preparation as to what it is that we can say, what we cannot say. So please, all right. But I mean, honestly and truly, we find ourselves on this number 2 subject, polar opposites. I'm the male that isn't as hungry, whereas my lovely wife here, gluggle.
Ready. Your hormones are in the right place.
I'm loving the topic tonight. I'm
loving it.
Right.
I'm loving it for you.
And I mean, it's not that I don't want to have the sex, or anything of that nature. Or wow, it's okay, Shelly. It's okay. It's okay. It's not that I don't want to have the sex. It's just that, sometimes I think you were about to touch on it, Sebastian. It's kind of finding the balance. They're finding the balance. And I think that's where I guess I need to ask a question as to how does one best find that balance, both on the male side that is under hunger and both on the female side that is over hunger, especially in a society where it's the ultimate thought process. It's the ultimate acceptance that men drive the hunger, men drive the sex. So I guess in just flip it a little bit, how do we address this specific thing? Because I don't think that we're the only couple that goes through this. I don't think so. So there's not enough information available, and I guess
and those talk really help, because someone may be watching here, and I've had counseling. And I can say that because one of my clients may be watching. I've had counseling sessions whereby the wife is crying literally, and I had to call another counselor. There was a doctor with me. I said, "Come, let's do a group counseling." This is the couple, and the wife is literally having tears. And what are those tears about? My husband doesn't want to have sex with me, and he wants me to behave, and then he will remove that barrier. He will remove. I was about to say, la retirer en bagoa, and she was from a different culture. Ils sont jamaïcaines. By the way, gen culture côté fille gen plus appétit sexuel que garçon. Ou bien dans même niveau à garçon, pour bien dire. Et gen culture, gen garçon qui dit que ben gen les haïtiennes, j'en nous te percevoir sexe, nous plus réservé, etc. But this is a very good question with me. And that question could be a topic, how to balance the libido, and although the libido may never be balanced, but how to adjust so we can live in harmony with two different levels of libido. So this is a very good topic. We can come back just to talk about this one of those evenings, and to deal with that. But in the meanwhile, so many good things Pastor is saying here. When a woman refuses her husband's sex, his food, and shoo him like he is important to her, she refused her God-given holy duty as her responsibility. Wow. Thank you, Pastor Jimmy. Pastor Jimmy Edwin Estime is with us too, and giving a laughter about something that came up. So Magali something she said, "Woi, man shut up," but God created them like that.
I remember, you know what, Pastor? Pastor Nathanael, let me say this. There is refusal, and there's not being turned on at the moment, and that's two different things. And I really don't want the two things to be merged into one. Like he was saying, the fact that I'm not ready to engage fully physically, that doesn't mean that he's refusing his wife's sex. He's just not in that mood at that moment yet, and he needs to get there. Sometimes the moment chosen is not the right moment for the couple to go together. So that person would have been probably more ready in the morning, and that because that person is more tired at night, and that one is like fresh and rested at night. So they need to find the best time for the two of them. And really,
you're speaking some truth.
And what works? Yeah.
Give me a second. Give me a second. Remember the thought. Hold that thought.
17 years of adjusting.
What makes you laugh, Kiki? Share the thought. We're having a heart-to-heart tonight.
No, we were just laughing about our own situation, because she's more of a morning type of person, if you get my drift, and I'm more of a. I mean, I'm all around, but I'm more of a nighttime, because I can just go to sleep after. But yes.
It seems that Nika is an evening person.
So finding that happy middle, because then otherwise it's gonna look as if it's a refusal, like you're never in the mood. Acknowledging that between the two of you, it's amazing, because so you're gonna find the balance, because you will compromise. You will do some morning, some nights. You will not always do it at the time that you're at your best, or she is. You will find your happy place and how to alternate the time that is convenient for each other. And when it comes to libido and appetite, really sometimes it is a physical issue, it's a hormonal issue, or it's a confidence issue. That comes up. It's knowing what you're doing and being confident that you know what you're doing in bed with your spouse, or your and then you also know that you are providing to them what they need, so that creates even another level of connection. So if you're having any adjustment issue to knowing that you move together, you satisfy each other, that may take away from the frequency, because it has to be pleasant for people to be into it, right? And for men especially, they have to know that they are performing too. So all of that, and so seeing a physician to make sure that your hormones are fine, for your appetite at your age, and to match your age and in yourself is important. But seeing also a sex therapist may be good, because if you come from two different culture, although same Haitian, but not what people said about sex, what you grew up knowing what sex was supposed to be, what you look forward to that sex was supposed to be, is important to go and face those things Otherwise, if you don't face them, they may stay in the couple for years. So going ahead of those fears and these limitations that your education might have come with. Yeah.
Yeah, Kiki wants to say something.
And I think I know there's just a big misconception that a man is supposed to be ready on demand. And you will find that no matter where you go, you talk to any person, they'll just expect, like, if I'm with my man, he better be ready to go right then and there. You know what I mean? A lot of women would assume that, but there are many types of men, including myself. Sometimes it's a mental thing. If you're mentally not there, you're mentally somewhere else, on music, on sports, on work, whatever you are. If you're not ready for it mentally, you're just going to look at your wife and, all right, thanks. No, maybe later, or something, something like that. So I think that misconception needs to kind of change, and I don't know how to change it. Don't know what talking points to bring up, but a lot of women don't truly understand that, because they just take what they see in the world or on TV, whatever, and just assume that the man is just.
While you are saying this,
but you are changing it. You
Yes.
are changing it right now.
Very good.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job sharing that. But
Very
also
good.
to all my fellow women, I want to tell you guys,
Yes.
don't take it as rejection. Don't take it so hard and so bad because the person is not in the mood. They so good to us when we're not in the mood. But then if they ever not in the mood, we kind of lose our mind. I think we have to also allow them that space.
Oh, please say that again for the people in the back.
Very good. And we want also to add to that, many women think as well, and Kiki, that was a valuable point, very valuable point, and you are influencing a lot of people with that thought. One thing I would like to add to what you said, there's also the misconception out there that we do sex just for sex, but men do have that emotional, and more than emotional, there's that soul connection about sex with most men. And it means more than physical to them. It means that you accept me. It means that we are becoming one. You get me into your universe. And no wonder we want to go back to women, because although women, and that's how God is so deep, women is coming out of men, but from that first woman, all men came out of a womb. So until we go to the tomb, we still want to be back in the bosom of a woman. And it means to us, we are going back home. And we want to be received, and we want to be accepted. And there's a misconception as well that men don't like to cuddle. That's not all across. Sometimes your men want to hold you. And Val said it too. Val said, now he's so needy, he needs to hold me, and that's okay. But understand, and there's also another misconception, and I'm loving that talk. And I know many people are watching this around the world. Listen to this. When God created that thing, and it's so much for intimacy, when a man approaches his wife, and we are talking about all that God created, there is something that is longing for that he can only find through this connection, and God knows that. And there's another thought that will come back to that depth I was about to share with you, because sex is not just sex to men. Sex means connection. And until we understand that, we will take it for granted. And now I remember what I was about to say. Some women will say, oh, each time I cuddle, it end up being that way. We end up having sex. Hear me good. Listen to me. It's not that intentionally when he started cuddling that happens. No, it's the fact that he may have wanted to just hug you tonight, but you're so fine. And not only you're so fine, listen, this is just chemistry. It's just going to be a reaction. You put two molecules of hydrogen beside one molecule of oxygen, boom, it's gonna be water. So that thing may happen naturally, but not intentionally. There's a big difference right there. And I want the women to take note of that. Okay, Edwin is supporting this here. Preach, Pastor. Thank you, Edwin. Yes, he may intentionally he wanted to hug, but there's something, because it's just like you have matches and you have it here, and or you have two stones and you are here with those two stones. When the spark come out, it's natural. But forgive us, sometimes it was not intentional. I'm going to go back to Dr. Alexander. Alexander, you are speaking so well tonight. Go ahead, mom. Go ahead, mom. It's all chemistry. Yes, Edwin. It's all chemistry. And that's why also we should avoid certain things when we want to prevent, let's say, infidelity. Why should you dance with someone who is not your man and you are hugging him and you are in a different relationship? So chemistry will happen. Chemistry will happen. People usually, after dancing with each other, and I know somebody will be saying, Pastor, you're talking here, we are talking to Christians. I know what I'm talking about. You go somewhere, there's a little party, and then the person say, oh, let's dance, and something happened. The chemistry happened, Edwin. The chemistry happened. And because of that, we understand that to avoid certain things, don't set the chemistry there. Don't turn on a stove if you are not going to bake. That's what I'm about to say.
Or not allowed to.
Yes.
Or not allowed, but not supposed to, right?
Yes, Jonah, mon fils, salut pasteur, c'est un plaisir pour entendre dans sujet ça va soir. Bel sujet. Moi madame, moi nous pas gain problème sous point ça. Merci pour ça, frère et mon fils depuis Florida. Happy to hear you from Florida. Very good. We're glad you don't have that issue. Go ahead, Lizzie. Go ahead.
We were talking about the intimacy that is supposed to be between the couple. It's just to be careful not to let that develop outside of your relationship with the two of you. So you'll watch for that, because it's very human and possible to develop that level of intimacy with somebody else. Depends on the quality of time and that you allow. So it's early catching it. It's early paying attention. That would help, because if you if you're not careful, like Pastor Nathanael said, if you're not paying attention, then by the time you react, it may be too late, because you've opened the door of that intimacy with somebody else.
That is true. That is so true. I'm going to read for you 17 things. You can stop me at any time to say if you disagree or not about men. The first thing, just because a man is a little quiet doesn't mean there's necessarily something wrong about men in general. Things we need to know about men, and it can flip over to your husband. The best way to change a man's behavior is not by nagging him, but rather by appealing to his deepest sense of virtue. That I find in the Bible. That alone, that second thing about men.
Val agrees.
Could be a seminar. Madame Bastien, you agree, Madame Bastien?
Val agreed. She said she won't nag.
She won't nag. Okay. Because the nagging makes him wants to avoid that situation. But
yeah, he won't listen. The nagging won't work. It doesn't listen. It doesn't hear you anymore. I don't know how men do it, but they tune people out.
That's true. Pastor Jimmy said when a woman knows her duty toward her husband, she can make her husband do whatever she wants. He would not mind how you. Go ahead, Kiki. I'm gonna finish with 17, but I'll allow you to finish.
I'm sorry. Valrika had a question for any of the ladies on talking right now. She wanted to know how to let us know without nagging. I don't know. I mean, I know how, but she says she doesn't know. So if any of the ladies can interject.
Let's Lydie answer that. Lydie, how do you let your husband know about something without nagging?
Honey, let's talk about this. when do you have some time so we can sit and talk about this?
Wait.
So we set up a time and we talk about it. So it's not nagging. And then we talk about it, and we talk about what we're going to do about it. Seriously. I'm the, let's talk about it. And then I say mine, he say his, and we agree where we're going to fall. And then I let it be. For example, there's a certain thing that, my husband would not always do. And then when I realized that, we spoke about it. At first, it was very difficult because he did not want to agree to it. And I told him, we have a problem with that. It looks like it's not happening. And we've had different time when it didn't happen. So it was a certain task. And so by talking about it that time, I gave him room, though, to come to get better at it. So I did not continue to bring it up and point each time he did not, because it took him a few other tries for it to become natural for him eventually. But even if he was not 100% on it after that, I did not point it out again. I just let him come to it. So if that happened for a very long period, I would have revisited, but I didn't have to, because eventually he was able to change his habit. But it took a moment, and so it's not bringing it up all the time at every time. There's time to discuss things that we need to change, and it's best to set time aside for them instead of bringing things up and talking about it all the time. Then they stop listening, as I said, and then we don't get anywhere. So it helps me.
Yes, yes. Sœur Erta, lui, nous regrettons. OK, nous avions voulu aider les jeunes mariés. Sœur Magali said sometimes we need to agree to disagree. I feel like the answer you are giving isn't realist. You can ask them a time to talk, and they act like they are busy. That's a woman talking here. Can Mika or the other young lady give their input? That's another woman who wants to hear from Nika, because she believes the man will not listen. Before you go there, I want to say something that is scientifically proven, and there is a research that show that men don't necessarily find it urgent what you say to them once. If you talk to them one time, it is not an emergency. I don't know if it is because they have been so accustomed to hearing you over and over. I don't know if the women created that issue by approaching things with repetition from the beginning, but research show if you tell a man something one time, you have not spoken yet. If you say it second time, he said she said something. The third time, he actually heard you. Now that is very critical, because I've seen it over and over, where the men say, I did not hear when he said it. I did not pay attention. So that is very critical. We have Laventure who say, man is a conqueror. He sometimes wants to hear his spouse deep emotion, to feel that he is somebody, not because he wants to have sex, but he feels that he is closer to his spouse. Very good point. But now, and I love what Mrs. Bastien was saying, instead of attacking, but say, can we have a talk? And I would add to that, start with a compliment, because the man will feel, if he feels under attack, say, honey, I like when you make the effort to cook. Now he feels that you're not attacking him. But I notice you put too much salt in the food. So that's something you want for improvement. That's not nagging, because you already set with a compliment. I want Kiki, and Rivni also will talk. But before Rivni comes in, I want Kiki to tell us how you wish to be told about something that needs to be done. How you wish your wife would tell you. And then we come back to Mrs. Bassi. But before, we'll get Rivni's point, and then we we come back to Mrs. Bastien. I have 15 more important stuff to say about men. Men. Go ahead.
I'm not one for compliments, so I personally, if she was to give me a compliment, it's kind of, what do you want? What are you trying to do? Type of situation. I just don't handle compliments well. I guess I'm awkward with it. For me, like I don't know. It's just make sure there's nothing going on, because there's sometimes she'll say something to me while I'm watching a game or working or doing something, and in order to get her to stop talking, I'm just, yeah, okay, all right, cool, got it.
But you did not hear anything.
No, not at all. And and then a couple of days later, she'll come back. You still didn't do this. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. For me, so it's just like I mean, I would rather you be straightforward, but just try to not necessarily catch me at a time that I'm not doing anything. But if it's really important, especially if it's important to you, I try to find a way to make sure it's important to me. But just like if I'm doing something, just stop me. Make sure my focus is on you, so I know 100. So 100% that, all right, I'm listening to you. I'm ready for you. Deliver what you have for me. I don't need the fluff. I don't need sugarcoating. Just, hey, this wasn't done. I like this to be done, and that's it.
And last week, one thing we discovered, Kiki, is that women usually don't tell it as it is. I always take the example of my wife. Vanessa would see the ice cream place, and then she would tell me, those ice cream look nice. But I had to realize that she wanted ice cream, Mrs. Bastien. I had to realize that she wanted it. So they don't come straight all the time. So it's very complex. And when we have those talk, we realize, oh, I'm not alone in what I'm going through. So before we go to Mrs. Bastien to finish, what you were saying, Lily, is so golden. And we are all learning from what you're saying. Is very precious. Let's get Rivni, and then we go back to you. Yes, Rivni, you enjoy more. I've enjoyed as well.
Yeah, I'm enjoying myself. I'm also just kind of surveying what's going on, and I see multi-generational
Dynamics
here, and I hear what would have normally worked for your generation, but I feel like our generation works a little bit differently, just a tad bit differently. Now, maybe it's just in the delivery or so much, and I laugh only because I'm like, all right, cool, I can see how they're saying it, but I'm trying to see how to put it contextually for my generation. But more so to answer your question, Pastor Nathanael, in regards to how I would like things communicated, it's much to the same token as Kiki just mentioned. I don't think you'll ever find a time when we're not doing anything. Sometimes just sitting on a couch and being silent is us doing something. And
men are doers.
Yeah, and as such, if you feel like you see me sitting on the couch quietly and you walk up and you tell me something very important that may have not been paid attention to, simply because you didn't call my attention to the fact that, hey, you needed to speak to me. And that's not to say that your voice doesn't trigger automatic attention. It's just, hey, I was in a zone and you came and told me something and I didn't quite leave the zone. I heard things, registered a little bit, but then I didn't leave the zone. And so I think as a man in this generation that's always thinking about next steps, what's to do, I want to hear from my wife, hey, babe, I got something I want to tell you. Usually if you start a sentence like that, I'm dropping the remote control for my game system, because I know whatever it is that she's about to tell me, I need to remember it or I'm going to get in trouble if I don't remember it.
Yes.
Simple,
They get your attention.
Right. So I stop whatever I'm doing to give her that time, and then we have that conversation.
Yes.
So I have a question. What is
Yes,
nagging to you guys? So what is nagging? Then what do you perceive as nagging? Nika, tell me, what would you say if you're nagging? I'm going to nag my husband about this until he does it. What would that be? How would you do it?
I don't really think that I nag.
She doesn't.
Yeah, that's me too. I don't
Um,
nag. So I think that's the
and
problem.
honestly, like Remy is such a diplomatic guy. He tries his best to take like the approach that works for like the good of us all. You know what I mean? But the truth is, Remy pas un problème tender. Like, pas jamais gon problem with communicating. You know, babe,
Yeah.
I need this done, I need that done. Knee deep in a game, knee deep in anything. I mean, I think that it's really nice that you said what you said, but I've never had that problem.
No.
No.
Oh, how sweet.
We've gotten better. We've
Yeah,
gotten good.
I've never had
That's
that
good.
problem.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Score.
Thumbs up for evening.
And honestly, I don't feel like I nag. If anything, I lack communication.
Mhm.
Like, so oftentimes when people ask me to come on a panel, I'm like, it's a bad idea. I'm the exception to all your rules. And it's the truth here, I need to be more communicative. If anything, I think Guvni's biggest problem with me is m'prend trop temps pour me dire ça cap fait mal, ça donne problème, ça
And
like I just take too
exactly.
much
And
time.
when that happens, you accumulate, and it bursts out not the way we would have wanted usually. And I'm not talking about you in particular, but
You might be.
usually when we finally talk, that's what happens. That's what happens.
You might be.
And I
I know we
say,
are enjoying this, but we have
I wanna-
only 10 minutes to end. We will finish at 10. But let me hear you, Rivni. Go ahead, and then we go
I
to
was just
Lily,
gonna add,
and I will finish my list.
I'm gonna add real quick. One of the things, and because she has lack of communication, I tend to want to
Over communicate.
over communicate and dig, and I ask a lot of questions, and then she gets upset about the asking of the questions as well. So it's like, in my humblest opinion, she eventually finds the time to communicate, but I guess she's right. We don't really have that problem. It was a problem, I guess, or something I used to have. But when she's ready to talk, she says, "Babe, I want to talk to you." And
real quick, Pastor, before you do your intervention, and you gotta let me say this because I've been pretty quiet during this entire emission. Let's just be real. And you said I'd be willing to talk the most for one. I swear, you're welcome.
Yes.
But I was gonna say that I travaille moins faire for a living. I'm a therapist, so I talk all day. When I get home, I don't want to speak anymore. So what you said about at the door, give me a chance, give me some peace, that's me, and the problem is, he knows something is wrong. He's like, babe, let's fix it now. And sometimes I'm not ready to fix it now. That's like our hugest problem. And he doesn't like that. He doesn't like dwelling in the awkwardness. He doesn't like knowing gon problem qui ka résoudre and ou rete là wap just danser wap ou probably just
yes. And one way,
and that's the
one way to help with that. Many person watching right now may be going through the very same thing. Marie Magali, Joseph, Pastor Jimmy Fleury, you may be going through the same thing. Let me tell you one thing that works. When someone is not ready to solve anything or even to entertain it, don't just dismiss it because that person feels lost and confused. And when am I going to have closure? You need to say, today, I may not be at my best. I'm not at my best. You can remove the may. I cannot talk today. But can Tuesday night, I will come from work a little bit earlier. Let's sit and talk about it. You need to set an appointment so the worries may be dismissed and the person project that I will get help next time, because it's like I have to have a hearing. I need someone to hear me. So don't dismiss it at once. So that's very, very critical.
It is golden.
Nika,
probably that would help you.
You have 7 minutes
time
left
to go back to it.
Go ahead, Lydie. 7 minutes left.
Back.
Nika, Angie, did you finish? Sir Saint Luc?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Lydie, let's get to you, and then I'll try to finish my 17 things right there.
No. I just said what you said. What was awesome. Sometimes you're not ready, and if you keep on rescheduling, it may be a long time before you ever address it. I like to be calm when I address problems too, and I don't want to lose my temper. I don't want to say something I don't want to say, so I'll keep on rescheduling it until I'm ready. But then I get worse. I'm getting more upset while I haven't addressed it yet. So that's not good. So Pastor Nathanael, you have a great idea. It's best for people like us when we're not ready to talk about things to say, you know what, honey, I'm not ready to talk about it, but okay, Monday.
Okay.
Or in 2 days. Okay, in
That's
2 days
very
we'll talk
important.
about it. Like
So the
that,
person feel
we put
validated.
a timeline on our anger or whatever it is that eating us up, or our pain, or that thing we don't
That's
want
true.
to talk about. It's a
There's
great
hope. You bring
idea,
hope.
Sachi.
You
I
bring
never
hope.
thought about it like that. It's a great idea. It's
Very
good.
good. Yes. Now we see Sir Magali Joseph said, by you, no, she said, sorry, Pastor, after 34 years, hands down, I'm the nagger. Whoa, whoa. Jeez. Now let's see if we can quickly go through those things. Maybe we'll have to come back to talk about men more, because there's more to see. Men are visual creatures, so that itself. But the last one we said is that we said the best way to change a man's behavior is not by nagging him, but rather by appealing to his deepest sense of virtue. And that could be a one broadcast by itself. Men are visual creatures. Men have a happy place. Whatever we call in man cave or his basketball game, whatever it is true. I will not say give all of them, but I will stop right now. After men have a happy place, men take play as seriously as their work. That's why we are so competitive. And number 6 is very valuable. Men equate work with worth. Work with worth. Ça veut dire travail yo jwenn valeur la dan. Yo jwenn tout sa yo yé la dan. Men need to know that they are needed. Yo bezwen kon sa. Can I tell you, we need to come back and elaborate on those things, even if we do a men and women thing next time to finish on time. I have 4 minutes left. We have to close at 9. I know it's very interesting. More people are commenting. If you treat men like children, they will happily oblige. So you got something to do. So if you have a high expectation for your relationship with him, whatever you do, don't set the moral bar low. That's what is being said here. The way a man's heart really is through his stomach. I think Pastor Jimmy said that earlier. Food, food, food. So now this can be true for some people, while some others it could be the intimacy. Now to end the broadcast, I want to hear from you something valuable, positive, each one of our valuable guests, that now, since you get married, you discovered about men and you cherish. I'm not going to say about every man, but you discovered about your men beside you right now. And the men, you will tell us what you think, discover about the mayor of Dunwoody in a moment, Sister Bastien. And you will tell us also the concealment, actually, the concealment of Dunwoody. Our husband is the concealment of Dunwoody. You will tell us what you discovered. And also, we will have that from Nika, from Angie, and also Val. You will tell us something you cherish and you don't want to change, something about him that probably those who are watching can discover. My man has that too, and I need to praise God for that. Something you are grateful for, something positive. It could be one or two. So we'll start with Nika, and then go to Val, and we will end with Madame Bastien, with the concealment's wife. Okay.
Okay, so the question was like threefold. So I'll hit the points really quickly. The most interesting thing that I've discovered about men is, especially mine, is the fact that like respect is a very big deal, but respect for every man looks differently. And even if I don't perceive something to be disrespectful, it doesn't mean that it isn't. So I'm that.
Wow, wow. Take note, ladies. Take note.
The next thing that I can say that I'm grateful for is I'm grateful for a man who has broken and shattered all of my expectations when it comes to men. Leaving literally balances me. Like he literally keeps me grounded. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. I wouldn't want to do this life with anybody else. Like, literally, because I know how I go all the way to the left, and Leaving always there to apologize on my behalf. And I'm just really grateful. I'm really grateful for the fact that he continues to just be patient with me. Like, that's like what I'm most grateful for. Like, he gives me room to trial, error, mistake, hurt, come back. I mean, he's great.
Wow. Amen. Amen. I love that. Thank you so much. We will take Val. Val, what have you learned? And that is positive, that humbles your heart to know that, and you're grateful.
Through this marriage, I learned that literally your spouse brings out the best in you and pushes you to be the better version of yourself. He's extremely supportive in everything. Uh, I meant even when it comes to like the finding the proper way to love him, finding the proper way to you're supposed to finish my sentences. Usually he's on point when I have to say something. He finishes all my sentences and helps me through like everything.
Yes, but tonight he's nervous. The world
I
is
guess
watching
so.
him.
I could
Yes,
clearly I
the
put him in
world
the
is
wrong
watching him.
spotlight.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Val. Thank you. And we got the drift of what you were presenting, bringing the best out of you. And let's hear from Lydie, and I will do the conclusion. Mrs. Bastien.
So one of the things that I probably studied in relationship was to be loved and cherished by this man and respected and putting on a pedestal and all of these things. And I realized that this man also is vulnerable and also need um, that attention as well, and that love and that cherish moment, and to be placed on a pedestal as well. And so that's one of the things that I discovered. So being a wife is providing that as well to the husband. So that was awesome to learn, and I hope I've provided that. And also, what I'm very proud and happy that I've discovered in my husband throughout our years of marriage is that he's very loyal to me, to a fault.
Amen.
To a fault. He is totally loyal. He would defend me. He would not say a negative word about me. He'll say it to me if there's something he has to tell me, but will never repeat it to anybody else. He is loyal to me to a fault, and I cherish that, and I enjoy it every day. I'm spoiled. So,
Thank you so
yeah.
much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have Shannon Grant, who said that her own is very humble on the line, and Pastor Jimmy that says, remember that marriage is not an event or Saturday church going, but it is a long commitment process. You never cease to learn. Very good, very good. Food for the inside, the underbelly. That is what men wants. Uh, yes. So I'm glad to hear that. Now, as we conclude, I'm going to give you the advice from my heart. One thing you need to discover about men, and that can shock you. Men can be like very smart as they can be, but they can also be naive. Naive to a point you could say, how is he such an idiot? He could not get that. It's best if you see him as an idiot, but he's not mean. Your man probably doesn't understand something, but he's not intentionally trying to hurt you. He's probably acting like a jerk because he is one, but he loves you. He wants to be with you. And if you do know that, you will approach things differently. When you approach things, you will want to help him get it instead of retaliating. Retaliation will not work because whatever is manifesting it's probably 95% to say almost 99% of the time, it's out of his perspective that is usually not as clear as yours on a specific issue. So don't take him too seriously. Understand him and approach him as someone who wants to help him get it instead of retaliating. Oh, you did it like that? You are attacking me. So that can save a lot of men if their spouses understand that your man is just a man. He loves you. He's not perfect. If it was not the Sabbath, I would play John Legend. We are just ordinary people. But because of the Sabbath, I will play again our Sunday party we started with to end. And I'm going to ask Mrs. Bastian, I'll put you on the spot to pray for us. I prayed at the beginning, but I'll give you enough time to put your thoughts together as we play our theme song for the family night. And we want to say thank you to everyone. We are 4 minutes after the time, but it was worth it. Thank you so much. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for all those who are with us online tonight. May God continue to bless you. May God continue to make your family the place that is a corner of heaven on earth.